good, people? I am GALANACCI the creator, artist, designer, creator, and I am the founder of GALANACCI, a luxury human wear brand pioneering self-discovery and greatness. So today is episode 9 and it is the 9th of March. We're just gonna recap what we did this week, and yeah, man, let's get right into it. So this week we worked a lot on the business plan for GALANACCI, and when it comes to running a brand like GALANACCI, it's not always about designing or all those fun stuff that you usually see on IG, right? With the likes of like Amiri, Rude, Off-White, like doing up looks, doing up designs and whatnot. That's only like a small percentage of what it is like when running a brand. And most of it is literally like the boring stuff. The stuff like doing the business plan, strategizing, planning, developing core values, brand values, design philosophies. These are just like aspects of running a brand that isn't pretty. It's not like what you would call Instagram worthy type thing. That's why you don't really see much brands sharing these type of things. But GALANACCI is different. We like to share these the non-pretty side of running a brand, because that's the reality of it. Most of the time, that's what you're going to be doing. You're not going to be designing clothes or making graphics, doing graphic design or whatnot. That's just a small percentage of the overall job. I would say it's only like 10%, and the rest is the not so fun or pretty looking parts. But yeah, we focused on doing the business plan, and it's always good to have a business plan, especially when you're on the early stage of your running your brand. I mean, it should be the first. In reality, it should be the first thing that you do, because that's your business plan is essentially where you store all the vision for the brand, what the brand means, the financial aspects of it, and it's what you use to pitch to investors, to get grants, funds, and whatnot. So it's important to have a business plan. And I've been very lazy about that aspect. So this week I made sure that I focused on doing up the business plan, even though it's so boring to do. But it's a necessary aspect of running a brand. So whilst doing that, I was actually on TikTok live. So I heard that, because I watch a lot of Gary Vee, so with him, he encourages a lot of business owners, or even just like independent people, creatives, or if you're building a business from scratch, right, to jump on TikTok. And even if you're just there for an hour and you're not doing anything like pretty, like designing or whatnot, you just jump on the TikTok live, you do your thing. So I was doing up the business plan, but then obviously TikTok will push you out to people, and from time to time you'd get someone questioning, oh, what do you do? What are you doing? And then obviously they'll check your profile page, and then they're like, oh, you're running a brand. What is it like to run a brand? This and that. So then at the same time, you're sort of doing your work, and then people are asking you questions, and you get to share like what it's like to run a brand and answer the questions. And these people get to actually contact you directly, like the actual founder of the brand. So I think that's a cool aspect. Like, I was thinking, if RIP to Virgil, like let's say if he was on TikTok live, I think that would be interesting to see, like the boring, but like just the day-to-day insights of like what it's like to run a brand. because it's definitely not always designing or doing design work, right? So it's nice. It will be nice to be able to see that. That's why I do what I do. Like, that's why I started jumping on TikTok Live and sharing the journey of building Galanacci in real time, you know. And yeah, that's what we've been doing, really, just on that TikTok Live. So I'm trying to jump on TikTok Live as often as I can, every single day, if I can, because we live in a different time now, right? Like, you could literally just turn your camera on, go on live, and then boom, that's one way for you to market your brand. So you're literally just going about your day, doing the boring side of running a brand, and by just jumping on live, you're marketing your brand, interacting with the community. Actually, the past yesterday, like, there's these followers that jumped on and they got to ask me questions, and I got to talk to them through the questions, and it's just building that connection with your community, you know. Like, it's like when I jumped on live, it's not like I had like 100 viewers, you know. There was just like 1 or 2 or 3 from time to time, and they get to ask questions, and you get to personally answer it on the spot, you know. So it was good to communicate with these followers that have been following the brand, or they just came in and was fascinated of what I'm doing with the brand. And yeah, I think that's just one way of really getting to know your community, especially when you're building from the ground up. And for me, I always wanted to build Galanacci one person at a time, you know, because that's when you actually build the connections, the relationships, and the long-term connections, really, instead of just going on viral. You know, when you go viral, it's hard to communicate and talk to, let's say you gained 1,000 followers, 10,000, 100,000. It's hard to directly communicate with these individuals one-on-one, you know. So it's kind of, it goes into my favor that this brand is growing slowly, because I can actually build that community one by one, you know. And I always care about building a genuine community within the Galanacci brand, because it's all about longevity, right? You want to focus on the sustainable aspects of building a community. Going viral is just not what Galanacci is about. So always think about your approach. It's not always about just going viral and gaining the followers. It's actually just better to actually know your community one person at a time. So yeah, that's what I focused on this week. And what else did I do? And yeah, obviously from the perspective of running a brand from the ground up, you're not always going to be doing orders. You're not always going to be getting orders. So you need to be strategic with your time. So just because you're not getting orders doesn't mean you could just like stop building the brand, you know. That's why I focused on building the business plan this week, since we didn't really get any orders this week. So you have to always find something to do that allows your brand to grow, even though if it's not financially, because obviously when you get an order, you get money coming in. But you have to always think in the long run. So, and thinking in the long run is having a business plan, having a financial strategy, marketing strategy, a kind of a expansion plan, and all of that. Because I envision myself building Galanacci for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, right? and I'm in my late 20s, so I got all this time to build Galanacci. So that's why having the business plan is such an important thing, because it's not for now, it's for 10 years time, it's for the 20 years into the future. And this is some of the things that new brand owners don't really think about. They just jump in there, design. They think it's all about just designing, but that's literally not the reality of it. Like, I worked in an architecture firm before I quit, right? And what I found out is designing was such a small part of the job, right? It's just literally like 10% of the job. The rest is strategic planning, developing, and you're communicating with the builders, the contractors, and all of those aspects. And it's the same with running a brand. It's not always about designing. That's why it's good if more brands out there actually share the true side of building a brand. Because all I see on Instagram is like, oh, they're making the TikToks, like the viral videos, like the styling, the looks, the pieces, the designing. Like, that's all fun and that, but that's not everything that goes into building a brand. And that's why Galanacci Diaries is here. It documents the actual reality of building a brand from the ground up. And yeah, so if I can inspire people through this, through the Galanacci Diaries, to actually see more that building a brand is not just about designing. Like, I know I keep reiterating it, but that's the truth, right? And I see this as something that I'll do for the rest of my life. So you have to also enjoy the boring side of building a brand. And that's what I'm learning to do, you know, because I have to force myself to do the business plan. Like, that's, for me, like, it's just so boring, but it's still so crucial. So yeah, it's when you have to switch to discipline. Like, you have to, instead of being motivated or whatnot, like, you have to be disciplined and do the important things. And most of the time, the important things are the boring stuff, and that's just the reality of it. But yeah, I think that covers what we did this week and what we focused on. And on the last episode, someone left a question, so we're just gonna do that. This is the Q&A portion now. So the person asked, how do you manage the balance of your working of working on your brand and your personal relationship with your partner? It's a great question. So I have a girlfriend, and how I balance building a brand and my personal relationship with my girlfriend is, you have to really manage your time, really. And for me, luckily, I do my best to get my girlfriend involved in brand building. So technically, she's the co-founder because she oversees everything that I do. Like, she's my second opinion. So when I'm doing a design, or I'm doing like a concept or whatever, I would always go and show it to her, get her feedback. Sometimes I don't agree what she says, but then I have to take that into account, because obviously you need as much perspectives as you can when you're building, right? You need to get feedback in order to improve. But yeah, for me, the way I balance it is getting her involved in what I do, and also obviously having that time off from building the brand and having the time with my girlfriend, whether it be us watching movies or cooking together or going out for a walk, or in this instance we like to box. So when we can, we would box, hit the pads and whatnot. But yeah, I think it's just finding that balance, what works with you and your partner and vice versa. And there is no right or wrong answer really, because it's different for each people. Like maybe you're building a brand and you don't have a partner, or you're building a brand and you do have a partner but they're not involved in building the brand. So for that, I can't really comment because I can only comment on my personal experience. But it's trial and error at the end of the day, and then seeing what works. And that just kind of goes with everything, even just building Galanacci. It's all about trial and error. So to answer your question of balancing personal relationship and work, managing, it's just trial and error, man. See what works, see what doesn't, and then do more of what actually works. Because obviously it's like a scale in it. You're trying to get it to be here, but if it's like slightly here, you got to try and find a solution to bring it back here. So yeah, trial and error. And hopefully that answers the question, and we'll wrap it up there. So yeah, if you got any questions for me about Galanacci or anything related to building a brand or building a luxury human wear brand, leave your questions below and I'll answer them on the next episode. So that's it from me. Peace out.